why looking poor can actually make you rich. You know, looking rich does attract attention, but looking wealthy does end up assisting you achieve financial freedom. That is why a ton of millionaires out here don't look like flashy millionaires. And that is so because they do prioritize assets over getting into things which are not really assisting them be able to build wealth and work towards becoming financially free for themselves and for their future generations. That is why in this video, I want to share with you 10 pointers which are going to really make you understand why looking poor can actually end up making you rich. You are much welcomed to my channel. My name is Afagza Sifunam. In case you are new here, I do make videos about investing and making money each and every day. In case those are kind of topics which you really enjoy, down there is a button called subscribe. Click the button for you to subscribe to my channel. And while you're still at it, drop a like on this video. Thank you for subscribing and also liking this video. Having said that, let's jump right in it. And the first reason why looking poor can actually make you rich is because you stop buying things to impress others. One of the biggest mistakes which adults out there do is that they typically think people out there are looking at how they are faring. They assume adults out there are judging them. Guys, adults out there are very busy with their own life. They have no time to judge you. That is why when you are okay with even looking poor, because you know you are building wealth, you stop buying things to impress. You're going to start even buying clothes which are comfortable for you. You're going to start buying things which you need. You're going to start buying things which are working for you because they are working for you. You won't be buying flashy things to impress no one out there because you're going to realize you are past the stage of worrying what people are doing or judging you when it comes to your looks. You are more focused on building wealth compared to buying things to impress people. And then the second thing which is important when it comes to why you looking poor can actually make you rich is because you'll end up investing the difference. Look here, guys, you have two people. One person is focused on buying designer clothes, simply status symbols, okay? The other person doesn't care a lot about what people out there are thinking about them. Assuming these two people are earning the exact same amount of money each and every month, already there's a difference between these two people. One is spending heavily to impress, the other one is not spending heavily to impress. The difference between their expenditures is what the second person is actually going to invest. And when they invest, that is their sure bet or sure route for them to be able to build wealth. That is why you looking poor is actually going to make you rich in the long term. Because you're not focused on status symbols, you are unlocking that money and pushing it to investments, as opposed to pushing money to status symbols, which don't really assist you build wealth in any way. And then the third reason as to why you being comfortable with looking poor is going to enable you be able to build wealth or become rich is because it assists you avoid lifestyle inflation. Guys, lifestyle inflation is a very big mess. Most of the adults out there, right? You start working. Of course, your income is not growing exponentially. But then again, due to pressure in society, due to demands, due to responsibilities, your expenses are continuing to increase at a faster rate than your income. You being okay with looking poor because you know you are aiming to become rich, you want to chase lifestyle things which are looking flashy, or you are aiming to impress anyone. Rather, you will be comfortable with you living within your means. You will be comfortable with you even living in the same house for 7 years without changing a house simply because your salary has increased. And through that extra amount of money, you can utilize it to be able to build your wealth. That is why you looking poor to avoid lifestyle inflation is also a very important thing. And then related to that, the fourth thing as to how you looking poor actually assists you become rich is because you avoid or even you don't yield to social pressure. Let's face it, the society we live in, guys, has intense pressure. And unfortunately, if a circle of friends is not a group of people who are sober, they're going to be constantly giving you pressure. And if you can't have your own stand, you are not okay with how you look, you are yielding to status symbols, you'll end up suffering. Case in point, If your salary, for example, is 100,000 Kenya shillings, right? Your circle of friends is telling you you need to also get iPhone 17, which is basically twice your monthly salary. In case you decide to buy that particular phone to impress your friends, that is you really social pressure, because you need to have your own stand of saying you are okay you using your phone, which is worth 20,000 Kenya shillings that you've been using for the past 1 year, because it is still functional and it is assisting you execute your daily mandate without really feeling any pressure to buy any status symbols out there to impress no one. That is why you being comfortable to look poor so as to become rich is an important thing when it comes to you not yielding to social pressure. And then the fifth thing, which is very significant when it comes to you looking poor so as to become rich, is that you will focus on driving value as opposed to status. It is fascinating out here how people assume expensive things amount to quality. That isn't the case all the time. That's why in economics, a chunk of expensive things are actually called Veblen goods. Simply put, they are status goods. But when it comes to value or even functionality, it doesn't really mean they are valuable or they are supposed to address your specific need. Case in point, if you go out there, for example, to buy a Louis Vuitton bag, which is a tiny bag because it has the logo of LV, right? Yet the bag which you need is quite sizable bag, which is going to assist you be able to achieve whichever purpose you aim to buy the bag for. Guys, it is better to buy a functional bag which actually derives you more value compared to you buying a small LV bag because of status symbol. That decision making and comfort stems from you being okay looking poor so as to be able to become rich, as opposed to you chasing any status symbols out there and yet they're not even giving you value. And then the sixth thing, which is also significant when it comes to you being okay to look poor so as to become rich, is that you keep your expenses fixed. Yes, guys, when you are okay to look poor, you will be able to control your habits. You will be able to control your appetites. You won't be jumping at making impromptu decisions or impulse purchases because you are not impressing anyone. You are okay with your financial plan. You are okay with your trajectory towards building wealth. So you're not really jumping at impressing anyone because it's a new release of maybe a given electronic, or maybe because you've been working but you've seen there's an offer, so you want to jump and buy it you haven't budgeted. Guys, you won't be on that particular wave because you'll be comfortable in your own skin. And then the seventh thing is that you being okay to look poor so as to become rich is eventually gonna enable you have your assets speak for you. Guys, there isn't an amazing voice or volume out here than the volume of assets speaking for someone. Of course, out here people can claim they are leading the best of lifestyles, they are having the most latest of gadgets, clothing, and so forth. But if you are building assets, over time, your assets are gonna speak for you. I'm not saying your assets are gonna make people jealous, but simply put, your assets are even going to allow you access to rooms which you didn't access before. Your assets are going to make even your bankers call you to even give you, for example, loans at very, very low cost. Your assets are going to assist you enjoy some conveniences in society, which at a particular point in time, the society and the business community at large doesn't care about how you look because they know you have assets. At the end, your assets are going to speak louder than any material pursuits which you can pursue by increasing your expenses to look like you are rich and yet you are poor. And then the eighth thing, which is also significant when it comes to you being okay to look poor so as to be able to become rich, is that you'll build wealth quietly. Guys, out here, being flashy in society comes with a ton of noise. That is why, in case you want peace of mind, you just need to be okay with you looking poor. Basically, I don't mean you looking ragged, but you looking modestly decent as opposed to looking very flashy. That way, you can make your maneuvers without really attracting lots of noise. And for any savvy adult out there, that is a very important thing. You want to be able to move freely without attracting attention. You want to be able to move freely without looking flashy. You want to be able to even to go to those places where you can do business without getting robbed. That is why you need to be okay with you looking poor so as to be able to build wealth. Because you know very well, building wealth is going to be a quiet journey, which is very peaceful for you, as opposed to looking flashy and yet you are not building wealth. And then the ninth thing, which is also very important when it comes to you looking poor to be able to become rich, is that you're going to stay financially flexible. What do I mean? Outside are those opportunities which come up to us when, for example, you are strained of cash. But if you are focusing on building your cash reserves through savings, emergency fund, and also investing, as opposed to you looking rich, when these opportunities come up, you're going to be financially flexible. Simply put, you will be able to tap into your cash reserves to be able to jump at opportunities much faster compared to someone who has spent their entire money to look flashy. When emergencies crop up, you're going to have emergency fund, which is going to assist you be able to address emergencies because you've been building an emergency fund, as opposed to you focusing on building flashy lifestyle, yet you don't have an emergency fund. So you moving quietly without making noise to seem like you are rich is going to assist you be able to stay financially flexible. And then the 10th thing which culminates this list is that you looking poor because you are on a quest to become rich is going to actually work towards you becoming rich before you look like you are rich. And that is an important thing, because you becoming rich before you look like you are rich is going to allow you choices, right? As I said, it's going to allow you choices. It's going to allow you advantages in community or society. And this is going to work for you in the long term because along the way, you're going to have built legitimate relationships, right? Along the way, you're going to have ring fenced your investment. You're going to be on a trajectory where your wealth is increasing exponentially. Simply put, even if you decide to look rich, you're going to be becoming rich or looking rich based on the turn of income or returns you are getting from your investment. You won't be looking rich because you are on a salary. That is why you looking poor so as to be able to become rich is a very important thing, because you're going to become actually rich before you look like you are rich, and that is going to work to your advantage. Guys, what do you think about this video? Do you prefer to look poor or modest as opposed to looking rich while you are building wealth, or you want to look rich and yet you are poor deep inside? Which one do you prefer? Comment down below. Let's continue discussing. Cheers, guys, and you all stay safe.